Hi guys, I'm back. Today I'm going through 1 Samuel 29 to 31, 2 Samuel 1 to 4, Proverbs 24, and Psalm 1. Let's get started. Now the Philistines had gathered all their forces at Aphek, and the Israelites were encamped by the spring that is in Jezreel. As the lords of the Philistines were passing on by the hundreds and by thousands, and David and his men were passing on in the rear of the chiefs, the commanders of the Philistines said, "One of these Hebrews do it here." And the chief said to the commanders of the Philistines, Is this not David, the servant of Saul, king of Israel, who has been with me now for days and years? And since he said to me, I have found no fault in him to this day. But the commanders of the Philistines were angry with him. And the commanders of the Philistines said, "Send the man back that he may return to the place to which you have assigned him. He shall not go down with us to battle, lest in the big battle he become an adversary to us. Well, how could this fellow reconcile himself to his Will it not be with the heads of the men here? Is not this David, whom they say to one another in desert? Saul struck down his thousands, and David his 10,000. And a chief called David and said to him, As the Lord lives, you have been honest, and to me it seems right that you should march out in with me in the campaign. And I have found nothing wrong with you in you from the day of your coming to me to this day. Nevertheless, the Lord do not approve of you. Go back now and go peaceably, that you may not displease the Lord of the Philistines. And David said to a chief, What have I done? What have you found in your servant from the day I entered your servant until now, that I may not go and fight against the enemies of my lord the king? And the chief answered David and said, I know that you are as blameless in my sight as an angel of God. Nevertheless, the commander of the Philistines said, Shall not go up with us to the battle. Now then, rise early in the morning with the servant of your Lord who came with you, and start early in the morning, and depart as soon as you have light. David sent out with his men early in the morning to return to the land of the Philistines. But the Philistines went up to Jezreel. When David and his men came to Ziklag on the third day, the Amalekites had made a raid against the Negev and against Ziklag. And had overcome Ziklag and burned it with fire, and taken captive the woman and also a very small and great. They killed no one, but carried them off and went their way. And David and his men came to the city. They found it burned with fire, and their wives and sons and daughters taken captive. And David and the people who were with him raised their voices and wept until they had no more strength to weep. David's two wives had been taken captive, Ahinoam of Jezreel, and Abigail, the widow and Nabal of Carmel. And David was greatly distressed, so the people spoke a standing here. Because all the people were better than Saul, each were his sons and daughters. And David strengthened himself in the Lord his God. And David said to Abiathar the priest, the son of Ahimelech, Bring me the ephod. So Abiathar brought the ephod to David, and David inquired of the Lord, Shall I pursue after this man? Shall I overtake them? He answered them, Pursue, for ye shall surely overtake, and they shall surely pursue. And so David set out, the 600 men who were with him, and they came to the brook Bessel, and those who were left behind stayed. But David pursued. He had 400 men. 200 stayed behind, who were too exhausted to cross the brook Bessel. They found an Egyptian in the open country and brought him to them, and they gave him bread and he gave him water to drink, and they gave him a piece of cake on figs, and 2 clusters of raisins. And when he had eaten, his spirit revived, for he had not eaten bread or drunk water for 3 days and 3 nights. And David said to whom do you belong? And where are you from? He said, I am a young man of Egypt, servant to an Amalekite, and my master left me behind because I fell sick 3 days ago. And he had made a raid against the Negev of the Cherethites, and against which belongs to Judah, and against the Negev who came. Now he burned Ziklag with fire, and David said to him, Will you take me down to this place? And he said, Swear to me by God that you will not kill me or deliver me into the hands of my master. And I will take you down to this place. And he had taken them down. They were spread abroad over all the land, eating and drinking and dancing, because of all the great spoil that they had taken from the Philistines and from the land of Judah. And David struck them down from twilight until the evening of the next day. And not a man of them escaped, except 400 young men. They mounted camels and fled. David recovered all that the Amalekites had taken, and David rescued his 2 wives. Nothing was missing, whether small or great, sons or daughters, or anything that had been taken. David brought back all. David also captured all the flocks and herds, and the people drove the livestock before and said, This is David's spoil. And then David came to 200 men who had been too exhausted to follow David, and who had been left at the brook Bessel. And they went out to meet David and to meet the people who was there. And when David came near to the people, he greeted them. And all the wicked and worthless fellows among them who had gone with David said, Because they did not They did not go with us. You will not give them any of the spoil that we have recovered, except that each man may lead away his wife and depart. But David said, You shall not do so, my brothers, with what the Lord has given us. He has preserved us and given into our hand the band that came against us. Who would listen to you in this matter? As his shares who goes down into the battle, so shall his share be who stays the baggage. They shall share alike. And he made a statue and a rule for Israel from that day forward to this day. And David came to Ziklag. He sent part of the spoil to his friends, the elders of Judah, saying, He is the present for you from the spoil of the enemies of the Lord. It was for those in Bethel, in Ramoth at the Negev, in Jetiah, and in Arah, and Zephmoth, and Eshtemoa, in Rakkah, in the cities of Jeremiah, in the cities of the Kenites, in Hormah, in Badashan, in Athak, in Hebron, for all the places where David and his men had run. And the Philistines were fighting against Israel. And the men of Israel fled before the Philistines, and fell slain on Mount Gilboa. And the Philistines overtook Saul, the sons of Saul and his sons. And the Philistines struck down Jonathan and Abinadab and Malchishua, the sons of Saul. The battle pressed hard against Saul, and the archers found him, and he was badly wounded by the archers. Then Saul said to his armor bearer, Draw your sword and thrust me through with it. Most these uncircumcised come and thrust me through and mistreat me, but the armor bearer would not. He feared greatly. Therefore Saul took his own sword and fell upon it. And when his armor bearer saw that Saul was there, he also fell upon the sword and died with it. Thus Saul died, and his 3 sons and his armor bearer, and all his men, on the same day together. When the men of Israel who were on the other side of the valley, and those beyond the Jordan, saw that the men of Israel had fled, and that Saul and his sons were dead, they abandoned the cities and fled, and the Philistines came and lived in them. The next day, when the Philistines came to strip the slain, they found Saul and his 3 sons fallen on Mount Gilboa. So they cut off his head and stripped off his armor, and sent messengers throughout the land of the Philistines to carry the good news to the house of their idols and to the people. They put his armor in the temple of Ashtaroth, and they fastened his body to the wall of Bethshan. When the inhabitants of Jabesh heard what the Philistines had done to Saul, all the valiant men arose and went all night and took the body of Saul and the bodies of his sons from the wall of Bethshan. They came to Jabesh and they took their bones and buried them under the tamarisk tree in Jabesh, and fasted 7 days. 2 Samuel 1-4. After the death of Saul, and David returned from tracking down the Amalekites, David remained 2 days in Ziklag. And on the 3rd day, behold, a man came from Saul's camp with his clothes torn and dirt on his head. And when he came to David, he fell to the ground and paid homage. David said to him, Where did you come from? And he said, I have escaped from the camp of Israel. And David said to him, How did it go? Tell me. He answered, The people fled from the battle, and so many of the people fallen and are dead. And Saul and his son Jonathan are also dead. And then David said to the young man, How do you know that Saul and his son Jonathan are dead? And the young man who told him said, By chance I happened to be on Mount Gilboa, and there was Saul leaning on his spear, and behold, the chariot and the horsemen were close upon him. And he looked behind. And he saw me, and he called to me, and he answered, Here I am. And he said to me, Who are you? I answered, I am an Amalekite. And he said to me, Stand beside me and kill me, for anguish is season, and yet my life still lingers. And so I stood beside him and killed him, because I was sure that he could not live. He could not live after he had fallen. And he took the crown that was on his head and the armor that was on his arm, and I brought him here to my Lord. And David took hold of his clothes and tore them, and so did all the men who were with him. And they murmured and fasted until evening for Saul and for Jonathan, his son, and the people of the Lord, and for the house of Israel, as they fought by Saul. And David said to the young man, he told her, Where did you come from? And he answered, I am the son of a C.Jun and a Amalekite. David said to him, How was it you were not afraid to put up your hand to destroy the Lord's anointed? And David called one of the young men and said, Go, execute him. And he struck him down so that he died. And David said, Your blood be on your head, for your own mouth has testified against you, saying, I have killed the Lord's anointed. And David lamented with his lamentation over Saul and Jonathan his son. And he said, It should be told to the people of Judah, Behold, it is written in the book of Jasher. He said, Your glory is slain on your high place. How the mighty have fallen. Tell it not in Gath, publish it not in the streets of Ashkelon, lest the daughters of the Philistines rejoice, and lest the daughters of the uncircumcised be exalted. Ye mountains of Gilboa, let there be no dew of rain upon you, nor fields of offerings. But there the shield of the mighty was to fill, the shield of Saul not anointed with oil, for them the blood of the slain from the side of the mighty. The bow of Jonathan turned not back, then the sword of Saul returned not empty. So and Jonathan, beloved and lovely, in life and in death, They were not divided. They were swifter than eagles. They were stronger than lions. Yours is a weep over soul. You clothe you luxuriously in scarlet. You put ornaments of gold on your apparel. How the mighty have fallen in the midst of your apparel, in the midst of the battle. Jonathan lies slain in your high place. I am distressed for you, my brother Jonathan. How very pleasant have you been to me. Your love to me was extraordinary, surpassing the love of woman. How the mighty have fallen and the weapons of war perished. After this, David inquired, shall I go up into the other C.Jun? And the Lord said, go up. David said, to which shall I go up? And he said, to Hebron. So David went up there. His two wives were Heber and Jezreel, and Abigail the widow of Nabal of Carmel. And David brought up his men who were with him, and everyone with his household, and they lived in the town of Hebron. And the men of Judah came in. There they anointed David king of the house of Judah. And they told David, it was the men of Jabesh killing Hebron. So David sent messengers to the men of Jabesh killed, and said to them, may you be blessed by the Lord, because you showed this loyalty to Saul your Lord, and buried him. And may the Lord show steadfast love and faithfulness to you. And I'll do good to you, because you've done this thing. And therefore let your hands be strong. Let your hands be strong and be valiant, for Saul your Lord is dead, and the house of Judah has anointed me king over him. And Abner the son of commander of Saul's army took Ishbosheth the son of Saul and brought him over to Mahanaim, and he made him king over Gilead, and Yeshurun and Jezreel, and Ephraim and Benjamin and all Israel. And Ishbosheth Saul's son was 4 years old when he was going to reign over Israel, and he reigned 2 years. And the house of Judah followed David, and at that time David was king over the house of Judah was 7 years and 7 months. Abner the son of the seventh Ishbosheth son of Saul went out from Mahanaim to Gibeah, and the Joab the son of Zeruiah and the sons of David went out and met them at the pool of Gibeah. And they sat down, the one on the one side of the pool, and the other on the other side. And Abner said to Joab, let the young men arise and compete before us. And Joab said, let them arise. And they arose and passed over by number 12 from Benjamin, Ishbosheth the son of Saul, and 12 of the servants of David. And each caught his opponent by the head and thrust his sword in his opponent's head, so that they fell down together. Therefore that place was called Helkath Hezron, which is at Gibeah. And the battle was very fierce that day. And Abner and the men of Israel were beaten before the sounds of David. And the 3 sons of Zeruiah were Joab, Abishai, and Asahel. And Asahel was as swift as a wild gazelle. And Asahel pursued Abner, and as he went, he turned neither to the right and nor to the left from following Abner. And Abner looked behind him and said, this is you, Asahel. And he answered, it is I. Abner said to him, shall I stand to your right hand or to your left? And seize one of the enemy and take his spoil. But Asahel would not turn aside from following him. And Abner said again to Asahel, turn aside from following me. Why should I strike you to the ground? How then could I lift up my face to your brother Joab? But he refused to turn aside. Therefore Abner struck him in the stomach with the butt of his spear, so that the spear came out of his back, and he fell there and died where he was. And all came to a place where Asahel had fallen and died since still. But Joab and Abishai pursued Abner, and as the sun was going down, they came to the hill of Ammah, which lies before Giah on the way to the wilderness of Gibeah. And the people of Benjamin gathered themselves together behind Abner, and became one group and took their stand on top of the hill. And Abner called to Joab, shall the sword devour forever? Do you not know that the end will be bitter? How long will it be before you tell the people to turn from the pursuit of their brothers? And Joab said, as God lives, if you had not spoken, surely the men would not have given up the pursuit of their brothers until the morning. So Joab blew the trumpet, and all the men stopped and pursued each other no more, nor did they fight any more. And Abner and his men went all that night through the Arabah. They crossed the Jordan, marching the whole morning, and he came to Mahanaim. Joab returned from the pursuit of Abner, and he gathered all the people together. They were missing from David's servants 19 men, besides Asahel. But the servants of David had struck down on Benjamin 360 of Abner's men. And they took up Asahel and buried him in the tomb of his father, which is at Bethlehem. And Joab and his men marched all night, and the day broke upon them at Hebron. There was a long war between the house of Saul and the house of David. And David grew stronger and stronger, while the house of Saul became weaker and weaker. And sons were born to David at Hebron. The first one was Ammon of Ahinoam of Jezreel, the second Chileab of Abigail the widow of Nabal of Carmel, and the third Absalom the son of Maacah, the daughter of Talmai the king of Geshur, and the fourth Adonijah the son of Haggith, and the fifth Shephatiah the son of Abital, and the sixth Ithream of Eglah, David's wife. These were born to David in Hebron. While there was war between the house of Saul and the house of David. Abner was making himself strong in the house of Saul, and Saul had a concubine whose name was Rizpah, the daughter of Aiah. And Ishbosheth said to Abner, "Why have you gone in to my father's concubine?" And Abner was very angry over the words of Ishbosheth, and said, "Am I a dog's head of Judah? To this day I keep showing steadfast love to the house of Saul your father, to his brothers and to his friends, and I have not given you into the hand of David. You charge me today with the fault concerning woman. God do say to Abner wisely, if I do not accomplish in David what the Lord has sworn to strengthen the kingdom of the house of Saul and set the throne of David over Israel and over Judah, over David to be Ishmael." And Ishbosheth could not answer Abner another word, because he feared him. And Abner sent messengers to David on his behalf, saying, "To whom does the land belong? Make a covenant with me, and behold, my hand shall be with you, and to bring over all Israel to you." And he said, "Good, I'll make a covenant with you, but one thing I require of you, and is, you shall not see my face unless you first bring my daughter, Saul's daughter, and when you come to see my face." And David sent messengers to Ishbosheth, Saul's son, saying, "Give me my wife, my wife, for whom I paid the bridal price of 100 foreskins of the Philistines." Ishbosheth sent and took her from her husband, Paltiel the son of Laish. Her husband went with her, leaving after her all the way to Bahurim. And Abner said to him, "Go, return." And he returned. Then Abner conferred with the elders of Israel, saying, "From time to time past you have been seeking me as king over you, and I bring you about from the Lord promised David, saying, by the hand of my servant David I will save my people Israel from the hand of the Philistines, and from the hand of all their enemies." Abner was to speak to Benjamin. And then Abner went to tell David he went all that Israel and the whole house of Benjamin thought good to do. And when Abner came with 20 men to David made a feast for Abner and the men who were with him. And Abner said to David, "Arise and go, and we'll gather always unto my lord the king. And they made a covenant with you, and that you may reign over all that your heart desires." So David sent Abner away, and he went and peace just as the servants of David arrived, which have hurried away. And he was spoiled with them, but Abner was not with David at Hebron, but he had sent him away, and he had gone in peace. And Joab and all the army that was with him came. They was told Joab, Abner's son, came to the king. He's let him go, and he has gone in peace. And Joab went to the king and said, "What have you done? Behold, Abner came to you. Why is it that you have sent him away? Say he has gone. You know that Abner, the son of came to deceive you, and to know your going and your coming in, and to know all that you are doing." And Joab came out from David's presence, and he sent messengers after Abner, and they brought him back from the cisterns of Sihon. But David did not know about it. And when Abner returned to him, Joab took him aside into the midst of the gate to speak with him privately, and there he struck him in the stomach so that he died, for the blood of Asahel was poured. After when David heard of it, he said, "I am my king, forever guiltless before the Lord, and for the blood of Abner's son. May he fall upon the head of Joab and upon all his father's house, and may the house of Joab never be without one who is a discharge, or who is leprous, or holds a spindle, or he falls by the sword, or who lacks bread." So Joab and Abishai's brother killed Abner, because he put his brother Asahel to death in the Battle of Gibeon. And David said to Joab and to all the people who were with him, "Tear your clothes and put on sackcloth and mourn before Abner." King David followed the bill, and they buried Abner at Hebron. And the king lifted up his voice and wept at the grave of Abner, and all the people wept. And the king lamented for Abner, saying, "Should Abner die as a fool dies? Your hands were not bound, and your feet were not fettered. As one falls before the wicked, you have fallen." And all the people wept again over him. And all the people came to persuade David to eat bread while it was yet day. And David swore, saying, "God do so to your wives, if I taste bread or anything else, till the sun goes down." And all the people took notice of it, and it pleased them, as everything that the king did pleased all the people. So all the people and all Israel understood that day it had not been the king's will to put to death Abner the son of Ner. And the king said to his servants, "Do you not know that a prince and a great man has fallen this day in Israel? And I was scheduled today the anointed king. These men, the sons of Zeruiah, are more severe than I. The Lord repaid the evildoer according to his wickedness." And Ishbosheth, Saul's son, heard that Abner had died at Hebron. His courage failed, and all Israel was dismayed. Now Saul's son had 2 men who were captains of raiding bands. The other one was Banner, and the name of the other Richard, son of Rimmon, a man of Benjamin from Beeroth. And Jonathan's son Saul, had a son who was crippled in his feet. He was 5 years old, and the news about Saul and Jonathan came from Jezreel, and his nurse took him up and fled. And as she fled in her haste, he fell and became lame. And his name was Mephibosheth. Now the sons of Rimmon the Beerothite, Rechab and Banner, set out, and about the heat of the day they came to the house of Ishbosheth as he was taking his noonday rest. And they came to the midst of the house as if to get weak, and they stabbed him in the stomach. And then Rechab and Banner, his brothers, came. And they came into the house as he lay on his bed. in the bedroom. They struck him and put him to death and beheaded him. And they took his head and went by the way of the Arab and brought the head of Ishbosheth to David that he won. And he said to the king, "Here's the head of Ishbosheth, the son of Saul, your enemy, who sought your life. The Lord is avenged my Lord, this king, this day on Saul, and on his offspring." But David answered Richard the man and his brother, the sons of Rimmon the Beerothite, "As the Lord lives, who has redeemed my life out of every adversity." And one told me, "Behold, Saul was dead, and though thought he was bringing good news, I seized him and killed him as Ziklag, which is the reward I gave him for his news. Now it's all, when wicked men have killed a righteous man in his own house on his bed, shall I not now require his blood at your hand and destroy you from the earth?" And David commanded his gentlemen, and they killed them and cut off their hands and feet and hanged them beside the pool of Hebron. But they took the head of Ishbosheth and buried it in the pool of Abel at Hebron. Proverbs 24. Be not envious of evil men, nor desire to be with them, for their hearts divide for violence, and their lips talk with joke. By wisdom has spirit, and by understanding is established. And knowledge rooms are filled with all precious and pleasant riches, and wise men full of strength, and land knowledge and has his mind. For wise guidance seek a mighty war, and abundance of counselors there is victory. Wisdom is too high for a fool, and the king he does not open his mouth. Whoever plans to do evil will be called a shame, and the devising of folly is sin, and scoff is an abomination to mankind. You faint the day of adversity, your strength is small. Rescue those who are being taken away to death. Hold back those who are stumbling to slaughter. You say, "Behold, we did not know this." Does not he who raise the heart pursue? Does not he who keeps watch over your soul now? Who did not repay me according to his word? Honey, is good, and the drippings of the honeycomb is sweet to your taste. If the whistle is such to so, if you find it, there will be a future, and your hope will not be cut off. Mind not in ways of the wicked man against the dwelling of the righteous. Do not violence to his hand. For the righteous falls 7 times and rises again, but the wicked stumble in times of calamity. Do not rejoice when your enemy falls, and let not your heart be glad when he stumbles. Lest the Lord see and be displeased, then turn away his anger from him. Let not yourself because of evildoers, and be not envious of the wicked. Though the evil man has no future, the lamp of the wicked will be put out. I stand, fear the Lord and the king, and do not join with those who do otherwise, for disaster will rise suddenly from them, and who knows the ruin that will come from them both. These are the sayings of the wise. Partiality and judging is not good. The Lord says to the wicked, "You are in the right, and will cast my enemies." Abhorred by nations, and those who rebuke the wicked will have delight. And the good blessing will come upon him, and whoever gives him ornaments and a kiss of daughters. Now you work outside and get everything you ready for yourself and nothing. And after that build your house. Do not a witness against your neighbor without cause, and do not deceive with your lips, but do not say, "I'll do just as he has done." I'll pay the man back for what he has done. I passed by the field of a slug, and by the vineyard of a man like himself. And behold, it was all overgrown with thorn. The ground was cut off with arrows, and the stone wall was breaking down. And I saw him sit down, and look and receive from destruction. And little sleep, and little slumber, and little falling of the hands to rest. And behold, he will come upon you like a rob, and walk like an armed man. Psalm 1. Blessed is the man who walks not in the counsel of the wicked, nor stands in the way of sinners, nor sits in the seat of scoffers. As delights in the Lord, and as the Lord he maintains day and night. He is like a tree planted by streams of water, that yields its fruit in the season, and his leaf does not wither. In all that he does, he prospers. The wicked are not so, but are like chaff that the wind drafts away. Therefore the wicked will not stand in the judgment, nor sits in the congregation of the righteous. For the Lord knows the ways of the righteous, and the ways of the wicked will perish. Now the done, and now day the Lord's prayer. Please pray, the Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us today our daily bread. You forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. For yours is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. See you tomorrow. Bye.